Since you went public, Tesla's up 22,000%, 11 quarters of sequential profitability. Analysts, when they put out their projections, okay, it's one of the most enormous bans for any company in America. The price targets for Tesla, despite all of this success, some have it at 200, some have it at 1,600. It's all over the place. You tweeted a couple months ago, Tesla's not a company, it's like 6 companies inside of a company. Like you've had to build this. Yeah, maybe more. Can you just explain to people all these companies inside this super company, just so folks have a sense of what had to be done to get here?
In this video, Elon Musk explains what Tesla really is, what Tesla really does, what Wall Street stock analysts are getting wrong about Tesla, spoiler alert, literally everything, and provides some compelling insights as to why Tesla today, still under $700 per share, could be the bargain of the fucking century, in my opinion. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support.
Elon, I have a Tesla question. I read today, it's incredible. There was a Bloomberg article that said the following. So the setup is this. It said, since you went public, Tesla's up 22,000%, 11 quarters of sequential profitability. So hitting on all cylinders. But the public analysts...
We had cylinders.
That's a car joke. That's a combustion.
Firing, we're stepping on the gas pedal, firing on all cylinders. Turbocharged.
But analysts, when they put out their projections, okay, it's one of the most enormous bans for any company in America. The price targets for Tesla, despite all of this success, some have it at 200, some have it at 1,600. It's all over the place.
This is a very important point and one I'd like to riff on for just a moment. First of all, on screen now, we're looking at Tesla stock price targets from Wall Street analysts. The highest price target on Wall Street, $1,620 per share for Tesla stock, almost identical to my own weighted average price target for the next year. By the way, that's available exclusively on Patreon, along with all of my Tesla price targets out over the next decade and loads of exclusive content. You can join with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. The median price target is $1,000 per share. The low is $250, as in $250 per share for Tesla stock. Truly embarrassing. I think that might be our friend Craig Irwin. Or maybe it's that douche lord at Citibank. I can't even remember anymore. The average price target for Tesla stock, $970.68 per share. And today, Tesla stock closed $696.69. So a couple of things to talk about here. As Chamath points out, this spread is just embarrassing. Clear indicator that Wall Street doesn't know what the fuck they're doing on average. Having such a huge discrepancy in terms of price targets indicates a lack of understanding and a lack of consensus. What's more interesting, however, is a strange anomaly we've encountered in the last few months. For as long as I can remember, in general, the average price target for Tesla stock on Wall Street has been significantly lower than where the stock was. Very few occasional exceptions. We're currently seeing one of those exceptions. Tesla stock's less than $700 per share and the average Wall Street price target is almost $1,000. This is a real anomaly. But the point that I want to emphasize here again, as Chamath points out, the huge spread suggests a lack of understanding. A lack of understanding is a disconnect between consensus opinion and what's likely to happen, reality. That can translate into a gigantic opportunity.
You tweeted a couple months ago, Tesla's not a company, it's like 6 companies inside of a company. Like you've had to build this. Yeah, maybe more. Can you just explain to people all these companies inside this super company, just so folks have a sense of what had to be done to get here?
Take note. Pay very close attention to what Elon believes to be the core companies within the company of Tesla.
Okay. I mean, this question requires thought, and I'll probably be leaving out quite a few things. But if you look at, say, what does a typical car company do? What they do is they assemble vehicles and they send them to dealers, and they manage the supply chain. They might make the engine, or typically will make the engine, but most of the parts are made by suppliers. And a lot of the actual technology development is done by suppliers, and most of the vehicle software is done by suppliers. So the actual amount real work done by car companies, what you think of sort of like a GM or Ford, is not actually that much.
This is a very important point, one that most retail investors, especially the clowns, are running after and buying a stock of every single company that claims that they're going to be building electric vehicles, this, that, and the other, don't seem to understand. Today, a typical automotive manufacturer doesn't do shit. They're effectively a glorified window dresser, assembling other people's parts and components into something that looks kind of nice and has a certain brand on it. Bang, there you go. We make cars. I think this is to do with the invasion of MBAs in the automotive industry over the last few decades, whose spreadsheets tell them the best way to operate an automotive company is to outsource everything. Why would we want to make this in-house? That's just complicated. We can just get some manufacturer to make this part for us. Much easier that way. And this is what's been progressively happening over the last few decades. Automotive manufacturers have gone from actually making all the technology inside their vehicles to making zero of the technology inside their vehicles, aside from a few rare exceptions, and instead they just get their parts and supplies from other companies. This makes them extremely vulnerable. Never mind the overhead of outsourcing everything rather than vertically integrating. Tesla's taken the polar opposite approach of practically every automotive manufacturer on the planet. They are aggressively vertically integrating everything they possibly can. Eventually, Tesla's going to enter the mining business in some form or another as well. It's only a matter of time. Meanwhile, other automotive manufacturers have been delegating everything, outsourcing everything they possibly can.
So they don't do sales, they don't do service. So in the case of Tesla, for example, we do our own sales and service. We don't have dealerships.
I think Elon Musk mispronounced the word stealership there. Nobody's perfect, I guess, but I just wanted to make that correction. There are a few mentally healthy people who enjoy the experience of going to a car dealership, having to negotiate, not knowing the actual price they'll be paying for their vehicle, having a pushy salesperson try to force this option or that option on them, wasting an incredible amount of time when they could have just ordered their vehicle online. Never mind from a business point of view how absolutely idiotic it is to have dealerships when customers could just be buying their vehicles online. In the case of Tesla, perfect example. All this unnecessary overhead and a worse customer experience, nobody wins. This is terrible from a business point of view, and it's terrible from a customer's point of view. Tesla's doing the intelligent, smart thing. Fixed pricing, buy it online, done. Automotive manufacturers, however, living decades in the past, they're tethered to the dealership model. These automotive manufacturers have agreements here. They can't just stop selling vehicles via dealerships, and in some cases there'll be exceptions, but this doesn't end well for legacy automotive manufacturers. With the advent of the internet, car dealerships are completely useless. Tesla has a huge competitive advantage here that a lot of people don't seem to understand.
Tesla also has by far the biggest network of superchargers, sort of the electric equivalent of gas stations. So we built an entire global supercharger network, which is still the most advanced and by far the best way to charge your car when traveling long distance, or if you live in a city and don't have the ability to charge your car because of street parking or an apartment. So the whole supercharger network, we developed the supercharger network, we deployed it. I think we have 15,000 superchargers globally. You can travel anywhere in America right now with the Tesla supercharger network.
Tesla's supercharging network is a highly underrated competitive advantage. It's interesting that there's no automotive manufacturers, at least to my knowledge, that own and operate their own network of gas stations. But Tesla's taken it a step further. They are operating their equivalent gas station network, the supercharging network. This gives them a huge competitive advantage. They can control the customer experience. They continue to build out this network as their production capacity increases. Such is Tesla's total and utter dominance in this area that they've said publicly they're willing to open their supercharging network to other companies just to help the transition to EVs because nobody else is building their own network. Ultimately, over the long term, I believe Tesla's supercharging network could be bringing in $1+ billion of profit per year. Eventually, this could be considerably more, but I don't think Tesla's really going to be operating this network to generate profits so much as just to create a great customer experience and ensure Tesla owners and potential buyers of Teslas anywhere on earth never need to worry about where do I charge, how do I charge, and so on.
In terms of vertical integration, we make the battery pack, the power electronics, the drive unit. We're more integrated in the parts. We actually make so much of the car internally. We're vertically integrated, not necessarily because we think that there's some religious reason to be vertically integrated, but because the pace at which we needed to move was just much faster than the supply chain could move.
This may in fact be the single most important thing Elon says in this entire discussion. When Tesla comes up against an obstacle, they've got X, Y, or Z plan, they need to get there, and there's a problem. Oh, suppliers aren't moving fast enough. We need equipment to build this that's never existed before. What do? Tesla's like, okay, we'll just create new equipment that's never been created before. We'll just vertically integrate this and make this part or component ourselves because, as Elon said, the supply chain is not moving fast enough. So let's ask a question here. If Tesla's taking their destiny into their own hands, blowing apart any bottlenecks along the way, oh, well, we need this to move faster, we'll just do it ourselves. We need this, this, we'll just do it ourselves and so on. But the rest of the automotive industry has been outsourcing everything. They're completely useless. They don't even know how to do anything anymore. They're permanently limited by how fast their suppliers can move, how fast the industry can move. And clearly, in Tesla's example, industry wasn't moving fast enough. So how does this play out? Well, what it means in short is Tesla is and will continue to move faster than any other company on the planet. Tesla's lead continues to accelerate. Most automotive manufacturers are reliant upon other suppliers to give them what they need, to innovate, to delete parts, to reduce weight and so on in components, whereas Tesla, again, f it, we'll just do everything ourselves. We need to move faster, no other option. I hate to use this word, but I'm going to. This, in short, makes it literally impossible for anyone to catch up to Tesla. And even if they decide, you know what, let's bring everything in-house, then they have the steep learning curve of going through and doing everything Tesla's already done in the last 15 years. I think the short story here, Tesla has won the decade, and probably the next decade, and probably the next decade. And I can say that confidently from here in 2022.
And to the degree that you inherit the legacy supply chain, you inherit the legacy constraints, including their speed, cost, and technology. And then Tesla is as much a software company as it is a hardware company. So the software that runs in Tesla operates the car, operates the screen, does the charging. All of that stuff is developed by Tesla. And so we have sort of a Tesla OS in the car.
This is another enormously underappreciated element of Tesla. Most people watching this will understand Tesla software expertise is on a whole other level. But this doesn't just apply to, say, for example, thermally managing their battery packs, or features like karaoke and fart mode in the vehicles. Tesla also writes their own corporate software to run their business. Tesla writes their own software to control the robots in their factories. Tesla was the first and practically still the only automotive manufacturer to be doing over-the-air software updates. These things really are computers on wheels, and software is an incredibly underrated component. Companies like Volkswagen are hiring tens of thousands of people and spending billions upon billions of dollars trying to get up to speed in terms of their software capabilities. Oh, and then there's the whole full self-driving autonomy software subset, which is a whole other discussion. In the world of electric vehicles, which is the future, software is at least as important as the physical hardware. And legacy automotive manufacturers who prior to now had literally no experience or capability whatsoever in software now need to become world experts in software, otherwise they're completely and utterly
I could go on for a long time. And then very importantly, Tesla has built an autopilot AI team from scratch. That is the best real-world AI team on Earth.
1, this is true. 2, 10 years ago, I would never have expected this. I mean, automotive company, electric vehicles, world's best real-world... What? Huh? But of course, full self-driving, we now understand this makes total sense. And it's becoming increasingly evident over time. Elon's right here. Tesla has a huge lead, an unassailable lead in the foundational building blocks of artificial general intelligence through their real-world AI expertise, which has evolved from full self-driving. This is important to understand. AI is going to have an outsized impact on the future of humanity. And when I say outsized, I mean outsized. AI will probably have more impact on humanity over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years than any other technology by orders of magnitude. This is one of those things that most people just don't understand. Even those who've seen some videos of FSD beta, like, oh, that's not very good. Sometimes it makes mistakes. But I do want to underscore how incredibly important this is and what a huge advantage it is. AI alone could account for 90+% of Tesla's future valuation. I'm not talking about tomorrow or even in 10 years' time, but give it a couple of decades and I'll stand by this comment. I'm not just talking about Dojo as a service. Primarily, I'm actually talking about what will eventually evolve into artificial general intelligence and be deployed in Tesla's humanoid robot. I know to many this seems like pie-in-the-sky stuff. We have to understand that Tesla not only has a huge lead already with real-world AI, but this lead is unassailable. Just like Tesla's lead in terms of full self-driving and autonomy is unassailable, they've got the fleet, the data, the feedback loop, the flywheel, it's over. Just a matter of time. It's literally over. No one's catching up to them. You can fucking count on it. The same is true of artificial general intelligence, as I mentioned. What Tesla has done with FSD already, in terms of real-world AI, is the foundational building block for artificial general intelligence. Tesla's vehicles are robots. They're robots on wheels. The next step is to move that core AI into a humanoid form that can interact in the world like human beings. And just like Tesla's vehicle fleet, to allow that artificial general intelligence to get better via fleet learning. A massive fleet of robots and the exact same process for training the AI using a fleet of vehicles versus a fleet of robots. Again, I just want to point out the differences between Tesla with real-world AI expertise and other automotive manufacturers with none. Just out of interest, how many folks watching can recall a single Wall Street stock analyst covering Tesla saying anything at all about artificial intelligence other than mocking and ridiculing the idea that Tesla has any expertise in AI? I can't really think of any. This really matters.
And if anyone else has got a better one, I'd like to see it demonstrated in a car. The full self-driving beta at this point can very often take you with zero interventions across the Bay Area from San Jose to Marin. So through complex traffic. It's really quite sophisticated. And I invite anyone to join the beta or look at the videos of those who are in the beta. We've got like 100,000 people in the beta, so it's not tiny. And we'll be expanding that to, I don't know, probably a million people or a million, I don't know, so on that order by the end of the year.
You had this slide.
And we also built a chip team because there wasn't hardware that we could run the friggin' AI on. We couldn't just fill the trunk with a whole bunch of GPUs, because they would have taken a trunk full of GPUs that would have been very expensive and take massive amount of power and cooling just to be able to do what the Tesla designed full self-driving computer can do. So, and we started a chip team from scratch, designed it. It was the best in the world, and still is the best in the world several years later.
You'll find this is a recurring theme with Tesla. Whenever they encounter an obstacle or a bottleneck, something that's going to prevent them from reaching their goals or slow them down on their mission, Tesla will find a way over, around, through, or under the wall, the obstacle. Nothing will get in their way. This usually results in Tesla sitting down and going, the world's very best X, Y, or Z, whether it's a chip, whether it's a battery cell design, doesn't matter what it is, the world's very best isn't good enough. Let's just make something even better than the world's best. They start a new team, and then they literally create something that's world class, if not best on earth, from scratch in an area that they don't have existing expertise. This is a recurring theme. It keeps happening over and over and over. Tesla has embarrassed the entire automotive industry in terms of manufacturing techniques. Anyone could have done the whole gigacasting thing, but nobody did it until Tesla. Anyone could have developed their own octovalve heat pump. Nobody did it until Tesla. It doesn't matter which direction you look. Tesla's so ambitious, so talented, has such great engineers and capabilities that every time they find a bottleneck, something that needs to be improved, if there's nothing on Earth that's up to scratch, Tesla will just create whatever technology they need. And every time they do this, it's world class. This is insane, extremely bullish, and an important data point to understand. It does require a little bit of creativity and imagination, but you have to understand as a Tesla stock investor, unlike most other companies, almost every other company on Earth, when they run into an obstacle like, that sucks. Tesla, instead of encountering an obstacle and going, that sucks, they go, this, we're going to find a way around. Let's just make something better and do it ourselves. Next minute, they do exactly that, over and over and over. Now, they're not perfect and they don't always get it right first time, but we've seen this as a recurring theme throughout Tesla's history as a company. Here's another great example. It's coming. I'm telling you. Tesla is going to have patent after patent after patent in mining, extraction, refining, you name it. Why? Because eventually, materials to go in battery cells are going to be the limiting factor. Tesla wants to blow open all constraints. So here's how things play out. Tesla either begins collaboratively working with mining companies, going, hey guys, we've got some ideas, maybe borrow a bit from the boring company. You could probably do this, you'd get more out from the same time, blah, 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 blah. Here's some ideas, just use our technology, extract the materials, and we'll take it from there. Or alternatively, or in combination, Tesla will actually just directly get into mining themselves. There's huge room for improvement in the mining industry. Most automotive manufacturers are just going to be trying to buy contracts for materials, and if they can't get the materials or the price is too high on the contract, well, too bad, they can't make the electric vehicles. Meanwhile, Tesla, instead of encountering the same obstacle and going, I guess we can't make the cars, they're going, no, that, what do we need to do? We need to get into mining. Okay, let's do that. We need to share some ideas with mining companies. Sure, let's do that. We need to send a team of engineers to work with the mining companies to improve their technology. Let's do that. We need to borrow some resources from the boring company, blah, blah, blah. You guys get the point, right? The short story is Tesla, when they encounter an obstacle, or even before encountering it, they just see that it's coming up on the horizon. They go, you know what? We're going to figure out a way around, over, through, or under this thing. Let's figure it out. Whereas other automotive manufacturers and basically almost every other company on the planet either doesn't even know there's an obstacle coming up ahead because they're not looking far enough into the future, or gets to an obstacle and goes, we don't know how to do that, so I guess there's nothing we can do.
And we're also then we're designing a Dojo supercomputer to be able to process all the video that's coming in from billions of miles of data, because... So
again, talking about bottlenecks and constraints and just finding solutions, Tesla, who, remember, according to the experts, is just the car company, developing their own supercomputer because they need it. I mean, really? Let that sink in.
Just sort of like the way that it's very difficult to compete with Google because they have so much data and they have all this people doing searches all the time, and humanity is training it. But the same is true of Tesla.
Once again, a very important point. Do you know how difficult it is to compete with Google search because you don't have the data and Google does? The same is true of Tesla's full self-driving software. This is why I continue to say they have an unassailable lead. It is inevitable. No one is catching Tesla. At some point, Other companies attempting to pursue autonomy will realize this. They'll have the unequivocal data demonstrating that Tesla's software is so much safer that consumers in Tesla vehicles using Tesla's autonomous software are demonstrably less likely to be involved in accidents, avoiding injury, disability, and in some cases death. And at this point in time, these companies have to throw their hands up and say, fuck it, we give up, we realize we're never catching Tesla, we don't want blood on our hands, hey Tesla, can we please license your FSD software?
You really need billions of miles and ultimately tens of billions of miles of training data combined with a sort of a vast training computer and then optimize inference hardware in the car and state-of-the-art AI and training and specialized software across the board to be able to achieve a full self-driving solution.
Now, I don't want to be a prick and suggest that people that don't really understand this, clearly Tesla's lead is unassailable and eventually automotive manufacturers will be forced. They'll have no choice but to license Tesla's FSD software because they don't want blood on their hands. I don't want to suggest that people that don't get this are idiots because they're not. It's very complicated, but I will suggest that anyone that doesn't see this quite clearly is missing pieces of the puzzle, at least one, if not half a dozen or more, in understanding what's going on here. It stuns me today that there's investors out there who think Cruise or Waymo have any hope in hell of holding a candle to Tesla over the long term. The strategy just doesn't make sense. This will take a while to play out, but this is one of the key areas investors need to educate themselves. I believe that any investor who's willing to spend 100-ish hours, yeah, I know it's a big commitment, might even be longer than that, maybe a few hundred, learning about neural networks, artificial intelligence, vision, cognition, the importance of data, on and on and on. I believe that practically every investor who takes the time to educate itself will see the exact same thing. It is inevitable. Tesla has won. No one catches up. It gets to a point where Tesla's full self-driving software is so much safer than any competing software. Tesla will have evidence, data, showing that their vehicles, their autonomous vehicles, are X amount times less likely to be involved in a collision. Blah, 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 blah. It gets to a point where automotive manufacturers have no choice but to license this software from Tesla because they'll know they'll never catch up. They don't have the data flywheel. They don't have the fleet. It's no point. And it's your job as a Tesla stock investor to understand this because at this point in time, the stock market does not get it. There are very intelligent investors out there. I won't name names, but there's a lot of them who still believe that Cruise and Waymo have a chance of ever competing with Tesla over the long term with their own autonomous vehicles. This is a joke. So take the time to understand this. I'm not sure where to start. I would highly recommend watching every single interview with James Dowmer and Dave Lee. That is just the starting point. In addition, read the AI books, and I mean all of them. Don't ask for recommendations. Read them all. Too lazy? Well, too f***ing bad. Don't say I didn't warn you. If you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to learn about AI, that's fine, but be warned. A failure to completely understand the AI component is a failure to understand the most important, in terms of impact and financial, the most important element of Tesla's business. The thing that will dwarf everything else. Yes, dwarf electric vehicles, dwarf energy, dwarf everything. It's AI.
When he opened Tesla Gigafactory, remember this 7 years ago? I'll just tell the audience a story quickly, Elon. He puts a slide up there and he says, guys, we're not actually building a factory, we're building a machine that makes machines. And he puts the layout of the factory and it looks like a chip. And it was basically like how you would actually lay out a microchip if you were, or you were like a layout engineer. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, that was when I first got it.
Yeah.
You walk on 10 and you see what's happening.
And you have an insurance company now. You're doing insurance for Tesla owners.
And an Uber competitor.
Right. And eventually a robo-taxi Uber competitor, RIP.
Yeah. I mean, insurance is like quite significant.
Now, are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
For those unaware, Chamath consoling Jason there. Jason, an early investor in Uber, who are likely to be put out of business by Tesla's robotaxi service in the future. Really?
Because the car insurance thing is a bigger deal than it may seem. A lot of people are paying 30-40% as much as their lease payment for the car in car insurance. So the car insurance industry is incredibly inefficient because they're just first of all, you got like so many sort of middle entities. You've got from the insurance agent all the way to the final sort of reinsurer. There's like a half a dozen companies each taking a cut, and then it's all very statistical. So that even if you're a very good driver, like you could be like 20 years old and a great driver, but it's all statistical. So you can't get you either can't get insurance or it's extremely expensive. So but Tesla allows for real-time insurance based on how you actually drive the car. You can actually, if you drive the car in a safer way, you actually have lower insurance. So ours is insurance is based on how you actually drive, not how historically people that fit your whatever demographic have drive. And then you can close the loop around your insurance rate by simply driving better and looking at your score and lowering your insurance in real time. And people do it. Actually promotes safer driving.
Another incredibly important point. I made a video a couple of years ago about Tesla insurance dominating. Surprisingly, a lot of people saw that. Nothing's really changed apart from the fact that everything I predicted is now playing out in reality. It's obvious and inevitable that over the long term, practically 99.999% of Tesla owners will opt for Tesla insurance because nobody can compete with Tesla on insurance premiums because nobody has the data. For those that don't know, insurance today is an absolute joke. As Elon's pointing out, it's all based on actuarial tables. Oh, how safe is an average male 20-year-old driver? Oh, okay, well, that's how much you're paying for your insurance. This is just ridiculous. It's not tailored to the actual behavior of the actual driver you're insuring. Nonsensical. I mean, hey, it made sense back in the day before we had individualized data, but now that we have the data, it makes no sense. And given that Tesla's vehicles will continue to get safer over time, their premiums will actually continue to decline over time because their customers will be in less accidents. In short, it won't be too long before a Tesla insurance is available globally, and consumers in general will need to be brain dead to be getting insurance anywhere else unless they're so incredibly unsafe that they can actually cheat the system. Because Tesla insurance would be too expensive, they can go to another company that uses generic actuarial tables who'll give them a lower premium. Otherwise, I really genuinely expect that up to 99% or so of Tesla's global fleet over the long term will actually be using Tesla insurance. And I actually think probably super long term, it may actually get bundled together with full self-driving software, so you're just paying one monthly premium, including Tesla insurance plus FSD. That's also how Tesla can allow consumers to deploy robotaxis once autonomy is solved. Part of that premium can cover liability if the robotaxi's in an accident, and you're off to the races.
I actually have had this experience because in my household, 2 people drive my car, and one of them has a 93 score and the other one does not. They have like a 60 score. And you may have met this other person, but I've been trying to work with her on the aggressive turns and stops in advance of our insurance bill, which we're hoping will go down at some point.
Elon's comments here have barely scratched the surface, but the key takeaway from this video is quite simple. Tesla is one of the world's most vertically integrated companies. Forget the automotive industry, I'm talking about every industry on the planet. In addition, every time Tesla sets their sights on something, whether it's creating a better battery cell, an insurance product, their own charging network, parts and components, bringing things in-house rather than outsourcing, a new chip, a new supercomputer, whatever it takes, every time Tesla sets their mind to something, they not only create a great solution, but a world-class solution, and in most cases, the world's best solution. This isn't just limited to a range of technologies or industries. Everything, nothing is off limits. Whereas other companies encounter a bottleneck, an obstacle, and go, oh, what do we do? Oh, we can't do anything. Oh, that sucks. Tesla will find a way over, around, under, or through any obstacle. We've seen a long track record of this now, and the stock market and investors in general just don't seem to get this. They can't make the logical leap between, oh, Tesla's really good at doing shit they need to do to keep doing what they want to do, and what the future looks like. They're projecting the limitations of other companies onto Tesla. Never a good idea. And as I said earlier in this video, the one thing to understand, the most critically important thing to understand about Tesla and the future opportunity from a stock investor's point of view is AI. You owe it to yourself. It's your duty. Do a deep dive on AI. Read the books. Watch the videos, the interviews. Understand the technology, at least at a general level, so you can truly grasp what's truly happening beneath the surface at Tesla. Remember, FSD, Tesla bot, AGI, game fucking over. Don't say I didn't warn you. And lastly, don't forget to join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment. You'll gain access to my Tesla stock price targets, which definitely include a large component of AI, not just full self-driving, but also Tesla licensing FSD to other automotive manufacturers beginning in the middle and second half of this decade, plus some early impact from Tesla Spot. The real impact from that happens in the 2040s and beyond. So see you over on Patreon. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.